The alliance formed. In a future where Earth was part of a vast universe, filled with strange worlds and creatures, humans had become explorers. They sent ships far beyond their home planet, searching for new life and new friends. One day, they stumbled upon a planet called Vorexia, home to the Vorex, an alien race known for their incredible technology and deep connection to their world. The Vorex were unlike any species humans had ever encountered. They had smooth, shimmering skin that changed color with their emotions. Their large, expressive eyes were filled with wisdom and curiosity. Despite their beauty, the Vorex faced a great danger. A ruthless warlord named Zarkan had set his sights on Vorexia, wanting to conquer the planet for its resources. When the humans arrived, they discovered the Vorex in a state of fear. Their once thriving cities were now filled with worry as Zarkan's armies grew closer. The humans realized they could not ignore the plight of these new friends. Led by Captain Maria Lopez, a brave and skilled leader, a team of humans set out to meet the Vorex. As they landed on Vorexia, Maria and her crew were greeted by a group of Vorex leaders. One of them, a tall and wise Vorex named Ilara, stepped forward. Her colors shifted from blue to green as she expressed hope mixed with fear. "We are honored by your presence," she said. "But we are in great danger. Zarkan will not stop until he takes our world." Maria felt a strong connection with Ilara. She understood the importance of protecting Vorexia and its people. "We will help you," Maria declared. "Together, we can face this threat." The Vorex leaders exchanged glances, their colors shifting in excitement and uncertainty. They had never relied on outsiders before, but the humans seemed different. In a grand hall, both teams gathered to discuss their future. The humans shared stories of Earth and their travels through the stars. The Vorex told tales of their rich history and the beauty of their planet. As they spoke, laughter filled the room, easing the tension between them. They realized they had much to learn from one another. Maria proposed forming an alliance. "We can share our knowledge and resources," she said. "With our combined strengths, we can stand against Zarkan." The Vorex leaders agreed, and the alliance was born. It was a moment of hope, bringing together two different races for a common cause. As days turned into weeks, the humans and Vorex worked closely together. They trained side by side, preparing for the battles that lay ahead. The Vorex taught the humans about their unique technologies, which included energy shields and advanced weaponry. In return, the humans shared their strategic knowledge, using their experiences from past conflicts to help the Vorex strengthen their defenses. During training sessions, Maria watched her team grow closer to the Vorex warriors. They laughed together, shared meals, and learned each other's languages. The barriers between their species began to fade, replaced by friendship and mutual respect. One day, while practicing hand-to-hand combat, a young human named Jake sparred with a Vorex warrior named Kira. Kira was swift and agile, her movements graceful like a dancer. Jake struggled at first, but eventually adapted, learning to match her speed. They ended up laughing, and Kira's colors flashed bright pink, showing her enjoyment. As the alliance strengthened, news of their cooperation spread throughout the galaxy. Many other races watched with interest. Some were excited, while others were envious. Zarkan, the warlord, heard of the alliance and was furious. He saw it as a threat to his power and began plotting his next move. But the humans and Vorex were not afraid. They knew they were stronger together. With every passing day, they became more confident in their ability to defend Vorexia. They built fortifications around the cities and created a network of spies to keep an eye on Zarkan's movements. One evening, under the twin moons of Vorexia, Maria and Ilara stood on a balcony overlooking the vast landscape. The sky was a blend of colors, reflecting the unity of their worlds. "We are more than allies now," Ilara said softly. "We are friends, and together we will protect our home." Maria nodded, feeling the weight of their responsibility. "We will not let Zarkan take your planet. We will fight for each other." As night fell, the stars twinkled brightly above them, symbolizing the hope that filled their hearts. The alliance had formed, and together they would stand firm against the challenges that lay ahead. Little did they know, a great battle was on the horizon, one that would test the strength of their newfound friendship and the resolve of their united forces. With every moment, they prepared, ready to face whatever Zarkin had in store for them. This was just the beginning of a journey that would change the fate of both humans and Vorax forever. The Warlord's threat. The alliance between humans and Vorax was a beacon of hope, shining brightly against the looming threat of Zarkin, the ruthless warlord. As the days passed, Maria and Ilara continued to strengthen their partnership, forging bonds of friendship and mutual trust. The Vorax cities buzzed with preparations, and every inhabitant was determined to protect their home. One day, while the humans were conducting drills, a Vorax scout rushed into the training ground, his colors flashing with urgency. "Captain Maria, a message from Zarkin," he shouted, his voice trembling. The soldiers halted their training and gathered around, their faces tense with concern. Maria stepped forward. "What does he want?" she asked, her heart racing. The scout handed her a small device that projected a holographic image of Zarkin, the warlord towering over them, his expression fierce and menacing. "I am Zarkin," the hologram boomed, his voice echoing in the air. "You have chosen the wrong side, Vorax. You are weak, and you think the humans can save you. I will not let this alliance stand. Break your ties with them, or face my wrath." The Vorax soldiers gasped, their colors shifting to shades of red and orange, signaling fear and anger. Maria clenched her fists, feeling a surge of determination. "We will not bow to threats," she declared, glancing at Ilara, who stood beside her, her colors a bright, defiant blue. Ilara stepped forward. "Zarkin, you underestimate us. We will not betray our allies. Your threats only strengthen our resolve." Her voice was strong, resonating with the courage of her people. The hologram flickered before Zarkin's furious expression appeared again. "Very well. Prepare for battle then. I will show you the true meaning of power." With that, the projection vanished, leaving the humans and Vorax standing in silence, the weight of Zarkin's threat heavy in the air. After the meeting, Maria and Ilara gathered their leaders to discuss their next steps. "We cannot let fear dictate our actions," Maria said passionately. "We must stand together and show Zarkin that we are united. We need to prepare for what's coming." The council agreed. They devised a plan to strengthen their defenses and increase their training efforts. Each day, the humans and Vorax warriors trained harder, sharing tactics and strategies. They practiced combat drills, learning to fight as one unit, mixing human technology with Vorax skills. Meanwhile, Zarkin's forces began to gather outside Vorexia, their dark ships looming ominously in the distance. The skies grew tense as they approached, and rumors of impending attacks circulated among the Vorax citizens. Fear spread like wildfire, but Maria and Ilara worked tirelessly to keep hope alive. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the landscape, Maria found a moment of peace with Ilara. They stood on a hill overlooking the city, where preparations were in full swing. "We must show our people that we believe in this alliance," Maria said softly. "If they see our strength, they will find their own." Ilara nodded, her colors shifting to a calm green. "We are more than just warriors. We are symbols of hope. Our friendship can inspire courage in others." They shared a determined look, understanding that their unity was the key to overcoming the warlord. As the days passed, Zarkin grew more aggressive. He sent small skirmishing forces to test the Vorax defenses. The humans and Vorax fought bravely, each battle reinforcing their alliance. But the warlord was relentless, his forces overwhelming. Each victory came at a price, and Maria knew they needed to take a stand before it was too late. The tension reached its peak when Zarkin launched a full-scale assault on Vorexia. His fleet of dark ships darkened the sky, blocking out the sun. The sound of alarms rang through the city, and the citizens rushed to their shelters, fear gripping their hearts. Maria and Ilara stood side by side at the command center, their eyes fixed on the approaching enemy ships. "We must rally our forces and fight back," Maria urged, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We cannot allow Zarkon to take what we have built together." Ilara's colors flared with determination. "We will protect our home and our alliance," she declared. The soldiers around them nodded, their spirits lifted by the strength of their leaders. The counterattack. The air was thick with smoke, and the sounds of clashing metal as Maria and Ilara rallied their forces. The initial skirmishes had escalated into a full-blown war, and Zarkon's armies pressed against the Vorax defenses like a relentless tide. The humans and Vorax warriors had to act quickly and decisively to regain control. In the heart of the Vorax capital, a makeshift command center buzzed with activity. Maria stood at the center of a holographic display, surrounded by both human and Vorax leaders. "We need to strategize our next move," she said, pointing to the map showing Zarkon's troop movements. "He is not just attacking us randomly. He has a plan, and we need to counter it." Ilara leaned closer to the display, her colors shifting to a bright orange, signifying her eagerness. "We should split our forces. The humans can take the lead on the ground while the Vorax provide aerial support. We can hit them hard from both sides." Her suggestion sparked murmurs of agreement among the assembled leaders. Maria nodded, impressed by the idea. "That's exactly what we need. We'll catch them off guard. Let's divide our forces into 3 units, one to strike the left flank, one for the right, and a smaller unit to create distractions. We need to divide Zarkon's attention." The leaders quickly organized the troops, and the atmosphere shifted from despair to determination. As the plan solidified, Maria could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The time for fear had passed. Now was the moment for action. The following day, as dawn broke, the combined forces of humans and Vorax moved out. Each warrior wore a mix of human armor and Vorax markings, symbolizing their unity. As they marched toward the battlefield, Maria felt a sense of pride swell within her. They were not just allies. They were family. The battleground stretched before them, a vast expanse filled with the echoes of war. Zarkon's troops were still regrouping from the previous day's assault. This was their chance. Maria raised her hand, signaling the start of the attack. With a battle cry, the troops surged forward, charging into the fray. The humans unleashed their advanced weaponry, while the Vorax swooped down from above, their agile ships darting through the sky, raining down fire on the enemy. The element of surprise worked in their favor, and Zarkon's forces stumbled in confusion. Maria fought alongside Ilara, their movements synchronized as they tackled Zarkon's soldiers. Each clash of their weapons sent sparks flying, a testament to their strength and unity. They worked together seamlessly, supporting each other in the chaos of battle. During the heat of the fight, Maria spotted a group of Vorax warriors struggling against a particularly fierce enemy. Without hesitation, she rushed to their side, her weapons striking down foes left and right. "Stay strong. We can push them back," she shouted, her voice cutting through the noise of battle. Ilara flanked Maria, using her agility to dodge incoming attacks while providing covered fire. Together, they created a formidable force that turned the tide of the skirmish. As the Vorax rallied behind their leaders, the morale of the troops soared. They could feel victory within reach. But Zarkon was not one to back down easily. From a distance, he watched the battle unfold, his eyes filled with fury. He commanded his forces to regroup and retaliate. Suddenly, a massive ship, larger than any they had seen, descended from the clouds. Its dark hull loomed ominously, casting a shadow over the battlefield. "Get back," Maria shouted as the new ship unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, scattering the Allied troops. The ground shook beneath their feet, and chaos erupted anew. The humans and Vorax were forced to regroup, finding shelter behind the remains of fallen ships. We need to take that ship down, Ilara exclaimed, her eyes wide with determination. If we can disable it, we can turn the tide of this battle. Maria nodded, her heart racing with urgency. But how? We can't let Zarkin get the upper hand again. Thinking quickly, Ilara gestured to a nearby building. We can use the height advantage. If we get to the roof of that structure, we can set up an ambush and hit the ship from above. With no time to waste, they rallied a small group of elite fighters to follow them. Together, they made their way through the chaos, dodging enemy fire as they sprinted toward the building. Once inside, they ascended to the roof, panting but determined. From their elevated position, they could see the battlefield unfolding below them. Maria set up a heavy plasma cannon, while Ilara prepared the targeting system. We have to time this perfectly, Ilara said, her voice steady despite the turmoil. We need to wait for the ship to come closer. As the massive warship hovered above the battlefield, the moment finally arrived. Now, Maria shouted, pressing the trigger of the cannon. A brilliant beam of energy shot from the weapon, striking the ship's hull. The vessel shook violently, alarms blaring as it began to list. We did it, Ilara cheered, her colors glowing bright with excitement. But the victory was short-lived. In retaliation, Zarkin unleashed his remaining troops, a wave of soldiers charging toward their position. Get ready, Maria yelled, taking her position at the edge of the roof. We can't let them take us. The Allied forces below were still engaged in fierce combat, and the new enemy troops surged forward with ferocity. The roof became a battleground as Maria and Ilara fought back against the oncoming soldiers, their weapons firing with precision. As the clash intensified, Maria realized that they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for each other, for their homes, and for the future of their alliance. Hold the line, she shouted, her voice rising above the din of battle. We can't give up now. The battle raged on, but the spirit of the humans and Vorex remained unbroken. With every defeated soldier, they grew stronger, more determined to stand together against Zarkin's tyranny. They had found their strength in unity, and as long as they fought side by side, there was hope for victory. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Maria and Ilara knew that this was only the beginning of their fight. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united as one. The aftermath. As the last echoes of battle faded into the horizon, the once bustling battlefield lay strewn with remnants of conflict. Smoke billowed in the distance, mingling with the haunting cries of the wounded. Maria stood amidst the chaos, her heart heavy with the cost of their victory. The sight of fallen comrades, both human and Vorex, filled her with a sense of sorrow. But amidst the destruction, there was also a flicker of hope, a chance for a new beginning. Gather the injured and secure the area, she commanded, her voice steadied despite the weight of her emotions. Ilara, her vibrant colors dimmed from the recent fight, nodded and began issuing orders to the Vorex warriors. They needed to stabilize their positions and prepare for any potential counterattacks from Zarkin's forces. As Maria walked through the remnants of the battlefield, she could see the determination in the eyes of her comrades. Each one was a testament to the bravery they had shown. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, they had stood firm, united by their resolve to protect their worlds. A few hours later, as dusk began to settle, Maria found a quiet spot away from the hustle and bustle. She sat down on a fallen piece of metal, reflecting on the day's events. Ilara joined her, her expression somber. We have much to discuss, she said softly, her voice tinged with concern. Maria looked at her friend, seeing the worry etched on her features. I know. We've won a battle, but we haven't won the war. Zarkin will regroup, and he'll come back stronger. We need to prepare. Ilara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. We need to gather intelligence on his movements. If we know what he plans next, we can outmaneuver him. But we can't do it alone. We must reach out to other allies in the galaxy. The more support we have, the better chance we'll have against Zarkin. Maria agreed, her mind racing with possibilities. What about the other races that Zarkin has oppressed? If we can unite them under our banner, we might stand a chance. She felt a surge of determination course through her veins. We can send emissaries to neighboring systems, asking for their support. Together, we can form a coalition against Zarkin. With their plan in mind, they returned to the command center, where leaders from both the human and Vorex forces were gathered. The mood was heavy, but there was a sense of purpose in the air. Maria stepped forward, addressing the assembly. Today, we have faced great adversity and emerged stronger than ever. But this is only the beginning. Zarkin will not rest until he has crushed us. We need to unite our forces with those who have suffered under his rule. Together, we can stand against him. The leaders exchanged glances, a mixture of hope and uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Ilara stepped forward, her voice firm. We have seen the power of unity today. Let us not squander it. We can reach out to the oppressed races of the galaxy. They will stand with us if we show them that we are willing to fight for their freedom. Slowly, a murmur of agreement spread through the room. The Vorex leaders shared their contacts and knowledge of the galaxy, while the humans provided tactical insights and resources. Together, they crafted a message that would resonate with those who had suffered under Zarkin's tyranny. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the command center, Maria felt a renewed sense of hope. They had a plan, and for the first time since the conflict began, she felt the tide might be turning in their favor. Over the next few days, emissaries were dispatched to neighboring systems. They traveled to planets rich with diverse cultures and histories, each one yearning for freedom from Zarkin's oppressive rule. Maria and Ilara stayed busy, meeting with leaders, gathering intel, and inspiring hope among the various races. Weeks passed, and one evening, as Maria stood on the balcony overlooking the Vorex capital, she received word that their efforts were paying off. Delegates from multiple systems had agreed to join their cause. Their coalition was forming. Ilara joined her, her eyes bright with excitement. Maria, you won't believe it. The representatives from the Actions and the Zularians have agreed to ally with us. They're sending their fleets to support our efforts. Maria's heart raced at the news. This is incredible. With their forces combined with ours, we stand a much better chance against Zarkin. The Vorex were also eager to contribute. They began organizing training sessions, teaching humans the art of aerial combat, while the humans shared their advanced technology and tactics. As the days turned into weeks, a strong bond formed between the two races, creating a unique blend of cultures and strategies. However, even as hope grew, Maria could sense the tension rising. Zarkin was not idle. Reports began to pour in about his movements, and the nature of his strategy began to reveal itself. He was amassing a massive fleet, and it appeared he was planning a large-scale attack. One evening, while reviewing the latest intelligence reports, Maria and Ilara were joined by the coalition leaders. "We have to strike first," one of the human commanders said, slamming his fist on the table. "We can't wait for him to come to us. We need to take the fight to him." Maria glanced at Ilara, who nodded in agreement. "If we act quickly, we can disrupt his forces before they're fully prepared. We know he's arrogant. He underestimates us. This is our chance to catch him off guard." With a plan in place, the coalition began preparations for their counteroffensive. As the days turned into a blur of activity, they trained hard and strategized endlessly. The bond between the humans and Vorex grew stronger, a true testament to their unity. Finally, the day of the counterattack arrived. The coalition fleet, a powerful mix of ships from various races, gathered in orbit around the Vorex homeworld. Maria stood on the command deck, surrounded by her allies, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Today, we fight for our future," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "We will show Zarkin that we will not be silenced. Together, we will win this battle." As the fleet launched into the depths of space, Maria felt a surge of determination. This was not just about survival. It was about hope, freedom, and the promise of a better tomorrow for all those who had suffered under Zarkan's rule. With every heartbeat, she knew they were fighting for something much greater than themselves. Together, they would turn the tide of the war, the battle for freedom. As the Coalition fleet surged through the depths of space, the tension among the crew was palpable. Maria stood on the command deck, her heart racing as she gazed out at the stars stretching infinitely before them. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for, a chance to show Zarkan that they would not bow to his tyranny. "Status report," she called out, her voice cutting through the thick atmosphere of anticipation. The chief operations officer quickly turned to her, his eyes focused. "We're entering the outskirts of Zarkan's territory now. Our scouts report that his fleet is stationed around the planet Xylar. They're well fortified, but not expecting us to strike so soon." The officer paused for a moment, glancing at the screen. "We should be able to catch them off guard." Maria exchanged a determined look with Ilara, who stood at her side, her scales shimmering with excitement. "Let's take advantage of their arrogance. We'll hit hard and fast." As they neared Xylar, the tactical officer pointed at a holographic map displayed in the center of the room. "We'll split our forces. The Vorax will take the left flank, while the humans and our allies will strike from the right. Our goal is to create confusion and take out their command ship." With their strategy set, Maria felt a surge of adrenaline. The air crackled with anticipation as the fleet approached the planet's orbit, their ships glinting in the starlight. The Coalition fleet, a diverse array of ships from various races, looked powerful and united, a symbol of hope for all those who had suffered under Zarkan's rule. "Prepare for battle," Maria shouted, her voice rising above the din. The crew sprang into action, adrenaline coursing through their veins. They strapped themselves into their stations, eyes fixed on the screens displaying the enemy fleet. "Launching fighters." Came the call from the hangar bay, and the Coalition's fighter craft shot out like a swarm of angry hornets. They flew toward the enemy, their engines roaring, ready to engage. The first skirmishes erupted as the fighters clashed in the vastness of space, laser beams flashing like shooting stars. Maria watched the chaos unfold on the screens, her heart pounding in her chest. Each moment felt like an eternity as she waited for the right moment to strike. "Now," she shouted as the Vorax forces engaged the enemy. The Vorax ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, tearing through the enemy's defenses. The bright flashes of explosions lit up the darkness, painting a vivid picture of the battle. "Move in," Maria commanded, and the Coalition fleet advanced, weaving through the debris of the first clashes. The Alliance was a force to be reckoned with, a blend of human ingenuity and Vorax tenacity. Suddenly, the comms crackled to life. "Incoming ships from Zarkan's fleet. They're trying to flank us," the tactical officer warned, urgency creeping into his voice. "Hold your position. Form a defensive line," Maria ordered, her heart racing as she monitored the rapidly changing battle. The Coalition ships regrouped, forming a wall of firepower against Zarkan's approaching forces. But Zarkan's fleet was relentless. Ships charged forward, lasers cutting through the void. Explosions erupted as Coalition ships began to fall, but Maria's resolve only hardened. "Rally the fighters for a second wave. We need to distract them while we take out their command ship," she shouted, determination fueling her words. Ilara's voice came through the comms. "We're taking heavy fire on the left flank. We need backup." Maria's heart sank at the urgency in Ilara's voice. "Hold on, we're coming," she replied, sending reinforcements to their aid. The Coalition fighters surged into the fray, engaging the enemy head-on. Maria could see her friends fighting bravely, dodging enemy fire, their ships darting like fireflies in the night. She clenched her fists, praying for their safety as the chaos unfolded around her. Just then, the tactical officer shouted, "We've located Zarkan's command ship. It's heavily guarded, but if we can disrupt their defenses, we can take it out. Let's move, Maria commanded, her heart pounding in sync with the battle's rhythm. The coalition fleet surged forward, targeting the command ship with relentless determination. They blasted through the enemy's defenses, energy beams lighting up the darkness like fireworks. Maria guided her ship through the chaos, dodging debris and enemy fire. "Keep pushing forward. We're almost there," she shouted, her voice filled with urgency. They were so close to turning the tide of the battle. But as they closed in, Zarkin's command ship unleashed a devastating counterattack. Massive energy beams shot out, striking coalition ships and causing them to explode in brilliant flashes of light. "Damage report," Maria yelled, panic creeping into her voice. The tactical officer quickly assessed the situation. "We've lost several ships, but we're still holding together. We can't give up now." With newfound determination, Maria led the charge. "All ships, focus fire on Zarkin's command ship. We can end this." The coalition forces rallied together, concentrating their firepower on the command ship. Explosions rocked the vessel, and Zarkin's forces began to falter. In the midst of the chaos, Maria felt a surge of hope. They were fighting for their freedom, for their allies, and for a brighter future. As the command ship shuddered under the assault, Maria knew they were on the brink of victory. "Push forward. We can do this," she shouted, her heart racing as they unleashed one final barrage. With a deafening explosion, Zarkin's command ship was engulfed in flames, its defenses crumbling under the relentless assault. Cheers erupted through the comms as the coalition forces celebrated their victory. But Maria knew this battle was just the beginning. Zarkin would not give up easily. They had won a crucial battle, but the war was far from over. As the coalition fleet regrouped, Maria gazed at the stars, a renewed sense of hope igniting within her. They had come together to fight for freedom, and together they would continue to stand against tyranny. The road ahead would be challenging, but with the strength of their unity, they would face whatever came their way. The reckoning. The echoes of celebration were still resonating through the coalition fleet as they gathered to assess the aftermath of the battle. Maria stood on the command deck, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the fight. Despite the victory over Zarkin's command ship, the reality of what lay ahead weighed heavily on her mind. "Status report," she called out, her voice firm but carrying the tension of the moment. The chief operations officer, visibly shaken from the battle but still focused, stepped forward. "We've lost several ships and many brave crew members. The Vorex took heavy losses on the left flank, but we managed to hold our ground and push Zarkin's forces back." He paused, glancing around the deck. "However, we need to regroup quickly. Zarkin is not one to accept defeat lightly. He will retaliate." Maria nodded, her mind racing. She knew Zarkin would be furious. "Let's use this time to reinforce our defenses and regroup. We cannot let him catch us off guard again." As the crew worked to repair their ships and replenish their supplies, Maria took a moment to reflect. They had won a battle, yes, but it had come at a steep price. The faces of fallen comrades lingered in her mind, a stark reminder of the cost of their fight for freedom. Ilara approached, her expression serious. "We did what we had to do, Maria. But we need to be ready for whatever comes next. Zarkin will want to strike back hard." Maria turned to face her friend, her heart heavy. "I know. We've just given him a reason to unleash his wrath. He will see us as a threat now." With the coalition fleet regrouping, Maria knew they had to be strategic. They needed a plan to outmaneuver Zarkin before he could strike back. "We need to gather intelligence on Zarkin's movements. Find out where he plans to attack next." The tactical officer chimed in, his face serious. "We've intercepted communications indicating that Zarkin is rallying reinforcements from nearby systems. He'll be coming for us sooner than we think." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. They were running out of time. "Let's deploy scouts to gather more information. We need to know exactly what we're up against." The fleet worked tirelessly, their unity evident in their determination to prepare for the impending storm. As the hours passed, Maria felt the weight of leadership on her shoulders. The lives of her crew depended on her decisions, and she was determined to protect them. As the scouts returned, Maria gathered the leadership team to review the intelligence they had gathered. The atmosphere in the room was tense, everyone aware of the gravity of their situation. The scouts have confirmed that Zarkin is amassing a larger fleet, the tactical officer reported. He plans to strike our position within the next 48 hours. He's not just coming for revenge. He's coming to destroy us. Maria felt her heart race. What's our best option? We can't let him catch us off guard again. Ilara leaned forward, her eyes intense. We should create a diversion. Draw his forces away from our main fleet while a smaller group, perhaps led by you, strikes at his supply lines. If we can cripple his resources, we might stand a chance against the main fleet. The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement. It was a risky plan, but they had little choice. Zarkin would not rest until he had crushed them, and they needed to act decisively. All right, Maria said, her voice steady. We'll divide our forces. A smaller team will engage Zarkin's supply lines, while the rest of us fortify our defenses here. We can't let him regroup and strengthen his forces. As the leadership team finalized their strategy, Maria felt a sense of determination wash over her. They were standing up for their freedom, not just for themselves, but for all those who had suffered under Zarkin's tyranny. With the plan in motion, the coalition fleet readied itself for the next phase of their battle. Maria felt a mixture of excitement and fear as she prepared to lead her team on a mission that could change the course of the war. As they launched into space, Maria's mind raced. The darkness of space enveloped them, and the stars glimmered like beacons of hope. She glanced at Ilara, who nodded with encouragement, and felt a sense of camaraderie. They were in this together, facing the unknown as one united front. Their ships navigated the vastness of space, heading toward the coordinates of Zarkin's supply lines. The atmosphere in the cockpit was tense but charged with purpose. Each crew member understood the stakes. They were fighting for their future. As they approached their target, Maria could see Zarkin's supply vessels moving in formation, unaware of the impending threat. Prepare for engagement, she called out, adrenaline surging through her veins. The coalition ships emerged from the shadows, unleashing a barrage of firepower on the unsuspecting supply lines. Explosions lit up the darkness as chaos erupted among Zarkin's vessels. Focus on their cargo ships. We need to disrupt their supplies, Maria commanded, her heart racing as they struck with precision. The enemy ships began to scatter, confusion reigniting hope within Maria's heart. But even as they pressed their attack, Maria knew Zarkin would soon react. Stay sharp. He'll send reinforcements. We need to complete our mission quickly. The coalition fighters danced through the fray, targeting Zarkin's supply ships and disabling them one by one. Each explosion felt like a small victory, a sign of their resistance against the oppressive regime. Just then, alarms blared throughout the ship. Enemy reinforcements incoming, the tactical officer warned. They're coming in fast. Fall back. We can't take them all on at once, Maria shouted, guiding her crew to retreat while still maintaining pressure on the enemy supply lines. As they maneuvered through the chaos, Maria's heart raced with urgency. They had to regroup and return to their fleet before Zarkin could overwhelm them. With each passing moment, the odds felt stacked against them, but Maria refused to back down. They were fighting for a cause greater than themselves, and she would do whatever it took to protect her crew and their allies. As they escaped the fray, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that the true battle was still ahead. They had made their stand, but Zarkin's wrath was sure to follow. With a mixture of determination and dread, she prepared for the challenges yet to come, knowing that their fight was far from over. The final confrontation. The coalition fleet had regrouped after the skirmish with Zarkin's supply lines, and the atmosphere was thick with anticipation and tension. Maria stood on the command deck, staring out at the vast expanse of space. She could almost feel the heartbeat of the fleet around her, a collective pulse of determination and resolve. "Status report," she commanded, her voice cutting through the murmur of the crew. The chief operations officer stepped forward, his expression grave. "We sustained some damage during the skirmish, but overall, we've gained valuable intelligence on Zarkin's movements. He's reorganizing his fleet and preparing for a major offensive against us." Maria felt a knot form in her stomach. They had drawn Zarkin's attention, and now they would face the full force of his wrath. "How much time do we have?" she asked. "Scouts indicate he will be ready to engage in less than 24 hours, he replied, glancing at the tactical display. "We need to reinforce our defenses and prepare for a significant battle." Maria turned to Ilara, who had been silently absorbing the information. "We need to capitalize on the element of surprise," she suggested. "If we can anticipate his movements, we might have a chance to counter his attack." As the leadership team gathered around the holographic display, Maria's mind raced. They needed a plan that would give them the upper hand against Zarkin's forces. "Let's set up a series of traps in the asteroid field nearby," she proposed. "We can lure his fleet into the field, where they'll be at a disadvantage." Ilara nodded, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "We can use our smaller ships to draw them in, while the rest of us ambush them from behind the asteroids." The room buzzed with energy as they strategized, knowing that this was their best chance to turn the tide in the war. They had to outsmart Zarkin, who was known for his ruthlessness, but also for his arrogance. If they could exploit his overconfidence, they might just gain the upper hand. As the preparations began, Maria felt a sense of camaraderie wash over her. They were all in this together, united by a common purpose. Each crew member understood the stakes, and they were ready to fight for their freedom. As night fell across the fleet, Maria made her rounds, checking on her crew. She offered words of encouragement and listened to their concerns. Many had lost friends in the previous battles, and the weight of their sacrifices lingered heavily in the air. "Stay focused," she urged them. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who has suffered under Zarkin's rule. Together, we can make a difference." With the dawn of battle approaching, Maria took a moment to reflect. The events of the past few days had tested her leadership, but they had also strengthened her resolve. She would not let fear dictate her actions. Instead, she would channel that fear into determination. As the fleet moved into position in the asteroid field, the tension in the command deck was palpable. Every crew member was focused, their eyes trained on the scanners as they awaited Zarkin's arrival. "Enemy ships detected," the tactical officer shouted, breaking the silence. "Zarkin's fleet is entering the field." Maria's heart raced as she took her position at the command console. "Prepare for engagement," she ordered. "Stay sharp and remember the plan." The coalition ships lay in wait, their weapons primed and ready. As Zarkin's fleet entered the asteroid field, Maria could see the enemy ships moving confidently, unaware of the trap that awaited them. "Now," she shouted, and the coalition fleet sprang into action. Smaller ships darted out from their hiding places, drawing the attention of Zarkin's forces. "Target their flanks," Maria commanded as her fleet unleashed a barrage of fire. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the coalition forces struck with precision, catching Zarkin off guard. Panic erupted among Zarkin's crew as they scrambled to respond to the unexpected attack. Maria felt a surge of adrenaline, knowing they had the advantage. The asteroids provided cover, and her fleet maneuvered with agility, making it difficult for the enemy to retaliate. As the battle raged on, Maria saw the enemy flagships struggling to regroup. "Keep the pressure on. Don't let them recover," she urged her crew. In the midst of the chaos, a familiar face appeared on the main screen. It was Zarkin himself, his expression twisted in anger. "You dare challenge me. You will regret this, human," he spat. Maria met his gaze with determination. "We are not afraid of you, Zarkin. Your reign of terror ends here." Zarkin's laughter echoed through the comms, dark and menacing. You think you can defeat me with this pathetic little fleet? I will crush you. But Maria could feel the tide turning. With each enemy ship that fell, the morale of her crew soared. They were fighting for their freedom, and they were winning. As the battle intensified, Maria spotted a group of enemy ships breaking through the chaos, heading straight for her flagship. "Brace for impact," she shouted, knowing they had to hold their ground. The coalition ships regrouped, forming a protective barrier around Maria's flagship. The enemy fired, and explosions rocked their ships, but they held firm, determined to protect their leader. "Target their command ship," Maria commanded, focusing all firepower on Zarkan's flagship. The coalition ships rallied, and a concentrated barrage of lasers tore through the darkness, striking Zarkan's vessel. As the flagship began to take heavy damage, Zarkan's face twisted in rage. "No, this cannot be," he roared, desperation creeping into his voice. Maria felt a surge of triumph. They were close to victory. "Keep firing. Don't let up," she urged, her heart racing with adrenaline.